turning 250, and it's time to rock out with our forefathers. American-made, battle-ready style for true patriots. Whether you're marching in the parade, grilling in the backyard, or raising a toast to liberty, do it in the gear that screams freedom. Celebrate 250 years of USA in style. Wear your American pride loud. Trendjackers.etsy.com. Grab yours before the fireworks.
From Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, this is Sportsbash, presented by TicketBash.com. TicketBash.com, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay a service fee. TicketBash.com is also the best site to go to for all of your out-of-town ticket needs, including the NBA All-Star Weekend this weekend in Los Angeles. Don't forget to use code HOLIDAY15 for a limited time for 15% off your order. Sports Bash is also presented by the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund, a group of like-minded individuals trying to raise awareness to our future generations of all possibilities of success other than just college. For more information, visit www.lookwhomadeit.org. Well, hi again, everyone. Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Peter Schwartz. 516-465-3990 is the number to call. We've got a very, very busy show, but we also want to hear from you. 516-465-3990. You can also follow along if you're watching the show on the Govs Comedy Club YouTube page. You can chat there. Tony Walker, my producer, will look at the comments. If they're good, we'll mention them on the air. If they're no good, Tony will make fun of you, and then we'll never hear from you again. But that you can do that. You can tweet at me at Schwartz Sports on X if you're too shy to join a radio program. But we've got two great guests on the show. As you can see, I'm a little excited that the Yankees have reported the spring training in Tampa, and we're going to talk Yankees. We talked Mets on Tuesday. with Keith Rad, the Mets broadcaster. Today we're going to talk Yankees with Joe Randazzo, who covers the Yankees for SI.com, and he's probably a little bit upset that we made him schlep through the snow and the ice to come back here to Governor's Comedy Club. He'd rather be in Tampa covering the Yankees, but still, we'll have a good time with Joe coming up in about 18 minutes or so. He's actually in studio with us to talk about the Yankees, so we'll talk about that with him at 1:20. And then later in the show at around 1:40, we're going to talk to, by Zoom, New York Sirens forward Casey O'Brien. Casey and the Sirens will face Seattle in the first ever professional women's hockey league game that'll be played at Madison Square Garden on April 4th. The Sirens call the Rock, the Prudential Center in New Jersey, home. But this year, the PWHL, they've been having these takeover games where they've been playing games in different markets. In fact, the Sirens played a game in Washington not long ago. I think they were playing Montreal, and that game drew 17,000 people. And the game at Madison Square Garden on April 4th is a near sellout already. They draw a few thousand people a game at Prudential Center, and you wonder if this works out at Madison Square Garden, if that could become a permanent home. Will they rotate the team around the area? They tried UBS Arena and Bridgeport, and now they're going to play a game at the Garden, and the game is almost sold out. So that's going to be a tremendous success. So we'll talk to Casey a little bit later on in the show. We'll also have What's Hot at ticketbash.com. We'll have the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. We'll check out the Coaches Collectibles item of the week, and we're also going to at the end of this first segment, pay tribute to a great actor that we lost yesterday, and we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But first, it is time for the Sports Bash Flash, presented by the Marty Lyons Foundation, granting wishes for 43 years. For more information, visit themartylyonsfoundation.org. Last night, the Knicks, I was so angry the other night when they lost to the Pacers. Like, how do you lose to the Pacers at home? That's like, I mean, I can get a local rec league here to beat the Pacers. That's how bad they are this year. And the Knicks had the audacity to lose to them in overtime at the Garden on Tuesday. Well, last night the Knicks made up for it in a very, very big way as they crushed the Sixers in Philadelphia, 138-89. The 49-point margin of victory, the second largest in Knicks history. The first largest was earlier this year when they wiped out the Nets. Jose Alvarado, the newly acquired Knick, the New York City native, hit 8 3-pointers, finished with 26 points. The Pacers completed the sweep of the area. The Pacers beat the Nets last night 115-110. At the Winter Olympics right now, Canada is playing Czechia, and I was just checking for the score. I couldn't find the exact up-to-date score, but we do know that Bo Horvat, the Islanders star forward, has scored a goal for Canada. So it's at least 2 goals for Canada, because I think Macklin Celebrini of the Sharks scored also. I was trying to get the most up-to-date score. We'll try to find it. But more importantly, other than Canada, the United States plays their first game a little bit later on today against Latvia at 3:10. So if you're thinking about bothering me after 3 o'clock today, and this goes for anybody, I'll be in front of my TV at home watching the USA-Latvia game coming up this afternoon. That's what's happening. Sports Bash Flash is presented by the Marty Lyons Foundation. Again, we're going to talk Yankee baseball with Joe Randazzo from SI.com in about 15 minutes or so. It's amazing when I have to talk about nonsense like this. You want to open up the show talking X's and O's. You want to talk about newsworthy events. And it's just unbelievable that something that happened yesterday has caused so much of a commotion here in New York that it's become a sports radio phenomenon, and it really took off because of social media. And this is the problem. You do anything, you make one false move, and someone's got a camera, whether it's a real photographer or it's somebody with their cell phone, and somebody's going to catch you doing something. In this case, I think this is so silly. It really is. And we're talking about Luke Weaver, the former Yankee pitcher, showing up at Mets spring training in Port St. Lucie with his Yankee equipment bag. Now, the people who are overreacting are saying, well, how disrespectful is that to the Mets that he shows up at Port St. Lucie with the Mets bag. And I find it comical because do you really think after Luke Weaver signed with the Mets that the first thing he thought of in his mind is, oh my God, I got to get rid of that Yankee bag and go to Dick's Sporting Goods and go buy an equipment bag, a generic one? Or should I call the Mets and ask them to send me one? Like, do you really think that entered his mind as he was signing that contract and getting ready to come to Florida for spring training? I mean, it's a matter of him walking from his car into the Mets complex with the bag. I'm sure the Mets immediately sent people from their equipment staff to greet him at the locker, get his stuff out of that bag, get rid of the bag, and give him a brand new Mets bag. But people saw this and they're flipping out. Yankee fans are flipping out that he still got the Yankee bag, and Met fans are flipping out. How dare he, show up for spring training with the Yankee bag? And what are we talking? We're talking about a matter of a few minutes. It's not like when Juan Soto left the Yankees to sign with the Mets as a free agent. They had the full-blown press conference in the offseason, so he was there. And they probably gave him a boatload of stuff at the press conference, and he didn't show up with the Yankee stuff. In this case, it's just, are we really overreacting to this? And from a Yankee perspective, and if you know me, you follow me, you watch the show, you just know me personally, you know how big of a Yankee fan I am. Like, I didn't find it offensive, and I don't know too many Met fans who did. Tony Walker, my producer and the host of the Knock 'em Dead comedy show from 11 to 12:30 here at Governors. Tony, you're as big a Met fan as I know, other than my family and some other friends. Did you take any offense to Luke Weaver showing up with the Yankee bag for a matter of seconds before they transferred it into a Met bag?
None whatsoever.
Okay, so there you go. And listen, believe me, if Tony Walker had something negative to say, he would say it to me because he's done that here on the show before. So I just find it. And here's the other thing, too, from a Yankees perspective. And I remember this because I chuckled at it years ago, 2002. The Yankees had just signed Jason Giambi away from the Oakland Athletics. And Jason Giambi shows up at Yankee spring training in Tampa with the Oakland A's bag. And I don't remember the exact words that came out of his mouth back then, but he's like, oh, I hope the boss doesn't see this, get rid of it. And I remember seeing it on one of the news stations, showing him arriving. I'm like, I'm sure Steinbrenner's going to make sure he gets rid of that bag. But it didn't create this like raucous reaction that the Luke Weaver thing happened yesterday. And I can't believe, by the way, that I'm spending 2 straight shows talking about Luke Weaver. Because we had Keith Rad on the show the other day, and I brought up the fact that my son, and for those who don't know the story, my wife and I have a mixed marriage. My wife is a diehard Mets fan. I am a Yankees fan. We had to compromise on the sports teams when we had kids. So Bradley and Jared are Islander fans for me and Met fans for my wife. So we owe Bradley a jersey from Hanukkah because he couldn't make up his mind what he wanted. Jared got a Matthew Schaefer jersey, Islander Matthew Schaefer jersey. Bradley is still trying to figure out which one he wants because, that's what he does. And as soon as the Mets signed Luke Weaver, he decides he wants a Luke Weaver jersey. And I'm like, I'm not spending $200 on a player that may not even finish the season with you. I mean, are you that confident that Luke Weaver is going to establish this great career with the Mets? I don't know. If I've talked about Luke Weaver for 2 shows now, maybe Luke Weaver can send my son a jersey and we'll call it a day. But I don't understand this whole uproar. He showed up with the Yankee bag for 30 seconds. Now, truthfully told, if we get to the hockey offseason, and let's just say for argument's sake, and he's not a free agent, but I'm just bringing his name up for example. Let's just say Adam Fox of the Rangers becomes a free agent, and he's a Long Island native. Let's just say the Islanders signed him away from the Rangers. Again, not happening. I get it. We're living in a different world. If Adam Fox showed up at Islanders training camp with his Rangers equipment bag, I'm sure it would create a hubbub. And again, a matter of 30 to 45 seconds, he'd be on camera getting out of his car and walking into Northwell Health Ice Center. Not that big a deal at the end of the day, although you definitely, with Twitter, it would become a huge story. Now, granted, years ago when Giambi did that, when he showed up with the A's bag, we didn't have Twitter. We didn't have social media. So you had to catch it on TV or see it in the newspaper or whatever. I just think it's an overreaction. I mean, this is what we're spending time talking about. I'd rather be sitting here right now, talking about the Yankees starting spring training and the Mets with their expectations, and we can talk about the USA hockey team today. But this is what sports radio and sports broadcasting and sports journalism has become. It's clickbait, and that's exactly what this was yesterday. It's exactly what it was. It was a reason for the fans of both teams to get ridiculously crazy for no reason. No reason. Is Luke Weaver going to show? It's not like he's going to march around Clover Field in Port St. Lucie for the next 3-4 weeks, however long spring training. It's more than that. I understand, but he's not going to show up, walk around Port St. Lucie complex with that Yankee bag for the next 6 weeks, whatever it is. It's done. It was over. It's 30 seconds. It's done. He wasn't trying to disrespect anybody. And again, let's be fair about this. When it's all said and done and Luke Weaver's career is over, the Yankees are still going to be on the back of his baseball card. It's not like you can't forget that he was a Yankee. If you're a Met fan, no, he's a Met now. He's a Met now. Well, no, he was a Yankee. Just like even though Juan Soto was a Yankee for 1 year, Juan Soto will always be a former Yankee player. It's on the back of his baseball card. So you can't forget that Luke Weaver pitched whatever it was, 3 seasons, whatever it was for the Yankees, and went to a World Series with them. It's still part of his DNA. It's part of his career. And we're overreacting over a matter of 30 seconds at you, or whatever clip you saw on social media. Hey, come on, we got a baseball season to play. Don't worry about it. He's not. If you're a Met fan and you're worried that he's got a Yankee bag, he's not going back to the Yankees. You got him. He's yours. Do you really think the first thing he thought of when he signed the contract with the Mets was, I got to get rid of the Yankee bag? What are we talking about here? I mean, I resigned from a job that was brutal after 5 months in June, and I still have remnants of it all over my house. And so parts of it I find by accident. I'm like, oh. Tony, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Tony knows what I'm talking about. There's remnants of it all over my house. But it's still part of my DNA. I spent 5 months in that job, and, it's not that I'm a hoarder or anything, but I'm not getting rid of it. It's still like, it's evidence. Pending litigation. It's like, but this whole Luke Weaver thing, it's freaking mind-boggling that this was a whole social media sports radio thing. Oh, Peter, you didn't have to talk about it on your little show there. I know, but you have to because it became a story. And it became a story because my kids wanted to talk to me about it. My wife wanted to talk to me about it. People are reaching out to me. What did you think? It's unbelievable. Can we just get on with baseball now? And we will in about 7 minutes. We're going to talk about the Yankees because we talked about the Mets ad nauseum the other day. That didn't come out right. We like talking about the Mets, and we're going to continue. We're going to equal time here on the show. Just because Peter's a Yankee fan doesn't mean we don't talk Mets. Tony, wouldn't you say that in the time that we've done the show here since a year ago, October, that I probably spent as much, if not more, time talking about the Mets than the Yankees here on the show? Would you say it's a fair assessment?
No, I would not
No.
say that. Sorry.
You don't think so?
No.
I think we've had more Mets guests on the show than we've had Yankee guests.
I will say, as a Yankee fan, you have been very good to the Mets fans. I will say that much.
I know. I don't want to be very good. I want to be equal time.
Well, because you have a wife at home. But,
yes, I have a happy wife, happy life. I understand that. Happy kids. There's nothing. I don't know what rhymes with that. But yeah, no, I understand. But I try. I mean, truth be told, guilty as charged here. We don't spend a whole lot of time talking about the Rangers here on the show. We really don't. We've had a couple of Rangers. We had Kenny Albert on a couple of times, and we had Don LaGreca on once when he was with the Rangers. We had him on again since he's been with the Devils. But yeah, the Rangers is a different story. That's a whole different animal because there are no Ranger items allowed in our house. Like I get something that's Rangers, it gets put aside for friends or family who are Ranger fans to get that item. Because as soon as it comes in the house, it's got to get out. Because if it doesn't get out quickly, it goes in the black trash bag. That's what happens. I remember years ago when I I was working at ESPN Radio, and who keeps texting me? That's the boss at my other job. When I worked at ESPN Radio and I covered Ranger games, and I went to Mark Messier night when the Rangers retired Mark Messier's number, and my credential was like this real fancy 11 Mark Messier thing, and I got this whole package of crap folder and all the little retired number banner and everything like that. And I'm like, I know who this is going to because it's not staying in my house. I gave it to my nephew Brian and his father Matt. It's my wife's best friend's son, who refer to him as my nephew. He's about to get married soon too, so that's another thing coming up. So congratulations to Brian and Gianna getting married this summer. But yeah, I came home with it. I gave it to my wife, and I said, get rid of this. Call Matt or Jean Marie or Brian has to come over here, or I'd be more than happy to drive it out to them. Get it out of the house. The Mets and the Yankees, I don't hate the Mets. I just don't think this was a big deal. I really don't. Of course, I'm going to have to ask Joe about this when we start the interview in a few minutes because we're going to continue talking about it. But I got to get off the subject now and move on to some other stuff before we welcome Joe Randazzo into the show in a few minutes. It's time for the Sports Bash Media Poll Question of the Day. It's presented by the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Every customer is considered family. At the Embassy Diner, mention Sports Bash and get a free dessert with your meal. We do post a new question every Tuesday and Thursday on the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page. Here is the question today. Who will win the men's hockey Olympic gold medal? And we give you 4 choices. And I'm rolling the dice here again. USA, Canada, Sweden, or other, comment below. And again, as a reminder in a PSA, when we say other, comment below. Tony, what does that mean?
It means comment
below. So I can't tell you how many of these poll questions that we put up there and we say other, comment below, people will check off other and then they don't comment below. So I'm going to try it again. And I'm going to keep trying it until people comment below. USA, Canada, Sweden, or other, comment below. Tony, who's going to win the Olympic gold medal?
USA.
Joe, really quick.
It's probably going to be Canada.
Thank
Canadians
you.
are good at hockey.
Oh, thank you, Joe. Joe's going to go with Canada. I'm going to go with the United States. I have to. Whatever. It's not going to be Sweden. It's not going to be other, comment below. It's going to be USA or Canada. They will play for the gold medal. Before we take a break, and we welcome Joe Randazzo from SI.com into the show in a few minutes. The entertainment world lost a magnificent actor yesterday, James Van Der Beek, who of course made a name for himself on Dawson's Creek, but also for a lot of sports fans made a name for himself playing John Moxon on Varsity Blues. He played the quarterback who came in to replace the injured quarterback. He passed away, 48 years old, colon cancer. Just a horrible, horrible thing. And for me, listen, sports movies can be either really, really good, really, really bad. Some of them are in the middle, but I think most people have if you're a diehard sports fan and you see a sports movie, you either have a really strong opinion positively about it or it's negative. Not a lot of sports movies have a gray area to it. I thought Varsity Blues was absolutely tremendous. John Voight was in that movie playing the coach. Just a great movie. If you're a high school football player and you don't love that movie, I don't know what to tell you. That was an absolutely, between that and Remember the Titans, 2 great high school football movies. But there's a scene in the movie where the players kind of revolt against the coach, and the coach leaves because they won't go back out on the field with the coach for the second half of the game. And James Van Der Beek plays Moxon, the quarterback who takes over for the injured quarterback, and he led the uprising against the coach. And before they go back on the field for the second half, he leads this incredible speech in the locker room. And I'd like to play that speech right now.
Before this game started, Kilmer said 48 minutes for the next 48 years of our lives. I say fuck that. Right? I say fuck that. Let's go out there and we'll play the next 24 minutes for the next 24 minutes. And we'll leave it all out on the field. We got the rest of our lives to be mediocre, but we have the opportunity to play like gods for the next half of football. But we can't be afraid to lose. There's no room for fear in this game. And we go out there and we half-ass it because we're scared. All we're left with is an excuse. We're always going to wonder. But we go out there and we give it absolutely everything. That's heroic. Let's be heroes. Come on.
Who's ready? Get it up.
Come on.
Just a tremendous scene. A great movie. If you've never seen Varsity Blues and you're a huge football fan, you got to check it out. And again, deepest condolences to the family and the friends of James Van Der Beek, a gifted actor, lost way too soon. And listen, cancer is just a god-awful thing. It really is. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're not affected by it directly, you have a family member who has, or you know somebody who's been affected by it. And it's a hideous disease, and it seems like we're talking about it every day, which is just god-awful. But deepest condolences to the family of James Van Der Beek. When we come back here on the show, after a brief timeout and a word from the Embassy Diner, we're going to welcome in Joe Randazzo from SI.com. We're going to talk a little Yankee baseball when we come back right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sportsbash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Hi, welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. I'm Peter Schwartz. 516-465-3990 is the number to call. We'll get to your phone calls later on in the program, but it is time to talk Yankee baseball with Joe Randazzo from SI.com, who has been more than gracious to come in studio to talk. Joe, welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you for having me in.
During the break, we found out some interesting information about you. You have not seen Varsity Blues.
No, I haven't. I haven't yet.
So you now have a homework assignment, and I'll be sending you a multiple choice question on it in the next week or so.
All right,
but you now have to watch Varsity Blues.
Well, life is a series of tests, and that will be just another test.
There you go.
I'm happy to get another one.
Before we get into the blood and guts of Yankee baseball for 2026, you heard my whole rant there about the whole Luke Weaver situation. Was this a big deal or not? Did I make too big of a stink about people making a big stink about it?
I think the Luke Weaver thing is just more fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Because the games haven't
It
started
gave me
yet.
15 minutes of content.
Exactly. But, all right, I will say this. For the most part, I don't really care. It's just a thing that I saw on social media, and the reaction is funnier. But You could always go to Savers and get a gym bag for like $4.99.
Yeah.
By the way, it's not that hard.
But
I got a good one in my car.
You know what I think is going to wind up happening now? We kind of we briefly talked about it off the air. I think now teams, especially when it becomes a player leaving a rival for another rival, teams are going to be cognizant of this now. And like if the Mets sign a player away from the Yankees again, and it's not a big press conference where he shows up at the stadium, I think teams are going to start sending bags to the players because they're going to want to avoid this.
It's true. I mean, when you got an owner like Steve Cohen who has money for days, that's like an understatement.
Yeah.
I mean, they could send him a bag.
Yeah,
just send him a bag.
Yeah, but again, at the end of the day, I just thought it was a non-story that just had legs of its own and crawled to craziness on social media.
It does give us something good to talk about.
Yeah.
Though.
Well, let's talk about something really good, and that's actually what's going to go on the field this year with the Yankees. When you look at the 2026 Yankees that have reported for spring training, at least pitchers and catchers have down in Tampa, there's this idea that fans are saying, members of the media are saying, that the Yankees are just running it back this year. And for the most part, I think they are. When you hear someone say that, do you agree with it? Are the Yankees running it back from the team that lost to the Blue Jays in the division series last year?
I guess there's two ways to look at it. Yeah, all right. So every free agent that they got, it's just guys that they already had. So they are running it back, but it doesn't mean they'll be a bad team. I still think they'll win 94 games, 95 games. They could win the division easily. Right. At the end of the day, it's just going to be about how will they perform in the playoffs. Because Bellinger has always been, in the playoffs. He's never been very good. Judge has had his moments, although he was better last year.
Yes.
I know you got to play the season. You got to get into the playoffs to win the World Series. But I still want to see what they look like then. Let's see if they make up for last year. Because they got really embarrassed by the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, Vlad smoking cigars, throwing champagne around at Yankee Stadium. I mean, that hurt me to watch.
Yeah, no question about it. And you never like to see a team celebrate on your own field. No. And Yankee fans have had to see that a number of times over the years, whether it was the Marlins winning the World Series in 2003, and then, of course, the Red Sox coming back from 2003 down in 2004 ALCS. So the last thing the Yankees want to do is get embarrassed again. But I think also a big factor for this season is going to be the return of the players who are injured right now, and that's Garrett Cole, it's Carlos Rodon, it's Clark Schmidt. Again, we're predominantly talking about three starting pitchers that are out right now, will not start the season, and also Anthony Volpe, who underwent surgery during the offseason. So if you consider getting those four guys back as like in-season acquisitions where you don't have to pay anything for it, is that enough to change this perspective of the Yankees that they're running it back?
I think Garrett Cole alone, yeah. Because you think about it, if Cole is healthy last season, they probably win the division.
Yeah.
And Cole has always beaten the Blue Jays. So maybe they win a few more games against Toronto, and Toronto doesn't get the tiebreaker there. So I think Cole alone, yes. Rodon, he's good. He had a 3.8 ERA last year.
Right.
Volpe, we'll see what happens. I you know what? I like Anthony Volpe. I don't want to dump on him.
Yeah.
I like him as a person, but the hitter has just been atrocious. It's not been good.
Well, I mean, as a rookie, he was okay.
Yeah.
I just, for whatever reason, he took a step back. Now, listen, you could also make the argument that he was hurt. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know it's a simplistic excuse to give to a player who clearly struggled for most of the season last year, but when he does come back this year, it's going to be a critical moment for him because the Yankees are going to have to ultimately make a decision as to whether or not they're going to stick to him as their shortstop of the future, or they're going to plan for something else.
Well, I think with Volpe, if you remember when he got that first cortisone shot, it was after the Marlins series. He hit those 8 home runs in however many games. He also had the 8 errors to go along with it.
Yeah.
But he was
trying to do his Chuck Knobloch impersonation after, remember the Yankees got Chuck Knobloch. He was this great defensive second baseman, and all of a sudden he got the yips and was throwing the ball into the seats.
I think we'll see what happens with Volpe. I don't want to make an excuse and say when he's healthy he's gonna be better, because we've seen healthy versions of Volpe in 24 in his rookie year, which weren't so great. Like you said, the rookie year was good for a rookie. But I do think when he got those cortisone shots, he was definitely hitting better. Even the second one, he was hitting better when he took over for Caballero again. So I guess
I liked Caballero.
Me too.
I
He's awesome.
love that pickup.
He's awesome.
Yeah, and of course he got the game-winning hit that put the Yankees in the play. Was that the playoff clinching one? It was the playoff. Yeah, it was the playoff clinching hit. And we're talking to Joe Randazzo from SI.com. He covers the Yankees. Any Yankee conversation we have, most conversations will start and end with the captain, Aaron Judge, and as he goes, for the most part, so goes the Yankees. And this is going to be an interesting year for Aaron Judge because it's a year that starts with him with the Yankees at spring training, but there's going to be a time here coming up pretty soon where he leaves the Yankees to become the captain of Team USA for the World Baseball Classic. So it's going to be interesting to see. And again, you're always worried about him getting hurt. He's had some injuries over the last few years. When you look at Judge captaining Team USA, is there a reason for the Yankees to be concerned that he's going to put so much, effort into trying to win the championship of the World Baseball Classic that, he's being paid by the Yankees, so you always say, well, he shouldn't go because he's been injury prone, worry about playing for the Yankees. But I think this is a pretty special thing for him to do.
I mean, I want the players to do it. I'm definitely for it, but it's like we saw with Edwin Diaz. It was like a freak accident, and then he gets hurt. That could have happened in spring training.
I wouldn't.
Sure.
You can't bring that up. Tony's still got nightmares about that.
That was wild to see. That was wild to see in real time. For Judge, just don't dive. How about that?
Yeah.
Just don't dive. Let a ball fall in front of you.
If you want to hit the ball 500 feet, go right ahead. You just take it easy. DH.
Yeah. If Puerto Rico has a little bloop single in front of you, just throw it in.
Let it go.
And lob it too. Don't throw it too hard. Please. Don't do much.
Absolutely. But when you a year out of going to the World Series in 2024, the Yankees obviously didn't complete their mission statement, and a lot of it falls on Judge's shoulders because he's the captain, and he's always going to be looked upon to come up with the big hit every single time he's at the plate. When you think about this year for him, what would your expectations be for Judge coming into what I think is a really critical year for the Yankees and this group that they've assembled?
I agree. I mean, how many more healthy years of Judge are you going to get? Prime years of Judge are you going to get? I mean, I think he'll win MVP again, right? But it's like I was saying before when we're talking about them running it back, what's going to happen in the postseason? Because Judge can win a fourth MVP, and look, that puts him in a pantheon that not many players have reached in their life.
Right.
But unfortunately, we live in New York.
Well,
right?
it's
so
also, but it's also the Yankees too.
Yeah,
it's a one thing about being in New York, but when you have 27 championships and been to how many more World Series for the Yankees, I mean, and the boss, may he rest in peace, he set the mission statement. The mission statement is to get to the World Series, and then it's to win it. So it's different. It's not just everyone can say, well, the Yankees are going to win 94, 95 games, make the playoffs. They need more than that.
Well,
People in New York need more than that.
He has the ghost of an entire franchise on his shoulders. And I remember it was 2010, A-Rod's talking to Michael Kay before the season. Michael Kay asked him, how do you feel? He's like, I feel relieved. And he was like more relieved than happy. And Judge has a lot of A-Rod in him, at least as a player, not the personal stuff.
Right.
But where A-Rod was this excellent player in the regular season. Then the postseason came, and then he just... it was so bad.
Yeah.
He wasn't very good. And I think Judge is in the exact same spot that A-Rod was in. And maybe it's tougher for him because Judge is also, in a lot of ways, the heir to Derek Jeter, too.
Right. He's the homegrown Yankee.
Yeah.
The homegrown Yankee, yeah.
He has every captain before him outside of, I guess, Mattingly. They won a championship, And
I can understand what you're saying about A-Rod because, remember, A-Rod had those great seasons but never got it together in the playoffs. And all of a sudden, it came together in 2009. The Yankees do not win the World Series
No, they don't.
in 2009 without Alex Rodriguez.
So, I mean, maybe that could have been Judge last year. But I just hope that this season, if the Yankees do win a World Series, it's because of Judge. And it goes that same trajectory as A-Rod, I just want to see him at the center of it. I don't want to... Well, if the Yankees win a World Series and he hits 100, I guess we won't really care, right? Because they won the World Series.
Well, people will find a way to talk about it still.
Course.
But yes, the bottom line would be the Yankees winning. We have a few minutes left. Aaron Boone has been a lightning rod for conversation with Yankee fans, good and bad. Where do you stand on Aaron Boone? I think for the most part in his Yankee career, he's done a really good job. I just think there's times where you want to pull your hair out, and I don't have much hair. Part of the reason why I wear a hat a lot of times on the show is that I don't have a lot of hair left. But I think if I did, sometimes with some of the decisions, and again, there still remains to be seen this question as to does he take direction from Brian Cashman in the front office? He on WFAN he flat out said that was not true. Where do you stand on Aaron Boone as Yankee manager?
It's neither here nor there with Boone for me, right? I don't love him, but I don't dislike him. I feel like if you get rid of Boone, they're just going to get another guy like Boone, right? For me, it just goes up top for the organization. Falls on Brian Cashman and the front office and stuff. But overall, Boone is whatever. He seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
I can't hate on him.
Still without something very important.
Yeah,
that's a World Series championship.
Of course.
Joe Randazzo, who covers the Yankees for SI.com, is our guest. We're also taking your phone calls at 516-465-3990. Our good friend, and he is a Met fan. I'm surprised he's calling during a Yankee segment, but Glenn from Flushing is joining the program. Glenn, welcome to Sports Bash.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I just got in, so I put it on, and I saw baseball being spoken about, and thank God it's almost here. And even though you have a Yankee discussion, I guess my question, I don't want to be a pessimist, but what is both your guys' feelings, and how is this going to be affected if there is no baseball next year? And what are the parameters as far as contracts and how this is all going to work out? What's your guys' opinion? Are they going to just revamp the whole system?
That's a great question, Glenn. And yes, that is looming next year, Joe. We're going to play baseball in 2026, Major League Baseball, but there is this work stoppage looming in 2027. And I think it has had an effect on how teams are offering and giving out contracts, because there's not going to be any base. If you're as pessimistic as I am, and a lot of people are, and I don't know how you feel about it, I just don't think there's going to be a season next year.
No, I don't think there'll be a season either. That all the tea leaves, they're right there. I guess it's all about, will they implement a salary cap after, and how does that affect our teams? The Mets, the Yankees, and of course the Dodgers too, who are doing a lot of spending. So I felt like the Yankees this season, maybe they could have gotten Kyle Tucker, right?
Yeah.
But maybe they're a little cautious about next year not generating revenue, because we know how Cal cares very much about how much money is coming in. I think for the Yankees, it affected them. For the Mets, though, honestly, I'm probably more optimistic with the Mets.
Yeah.
I feel like Cohen's a guy who will go all in. I could see them, if the Detroit Tigers kind of stink, I could see them going after Skubal.
Right.
I feel like Cohen really, really wants to win.
And they kind of cleared the deck, and Glenn, you'd agree with this too. I mean, they kind of cleared out some high-priced players to kind of clear the deck, so that whenever baseball does come back after the work stoppage, they'll basically have blank checks to write again.
Yeah, the one thing, if it is looming, and it's probably going to get worse before it gets better, the trade deadline is going to be insane, and it's going to be really hard to figure out what's going to happen, because a guy like Skubal, everybody's going to want to jump on him.
Sure.
I guess who's going to have the farm hands or whatever it's going to take to get him, but it's going to be a wild season, just knowing that, hey, there might not be a season after this, so everybody's going to go all in. Get
used to a lot of Long Island Ducks baseball, Glenn. You can come out and hear me do public address for them.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Glenn, thanks for calling, and maybe I'll see you at the Big East tournament.
Oh, sounds good. All right, great seeing you on my YouTube. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. Our good friend Glenn from Flushing. We have another minute or so left in the segment, so just give me look into your Yankee crystal ball, and you tell me how many wins the Yankees finish with this season, how far the Yankees get in the postseason.
All right, I think 97 wins. I think they will win the division. Like
Okay.
I said, I think Cole's going to be the X factor. I think they probably lose in the ALCS. I'm
Okay.
so used to the disappointment. I don't want to be too much of a pessimist, but I feel like something's going to happen. The Astros will be good again.
Yeah.
We'll lose to another rival, because that seems to be the case with this era. But I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong so bad. I want to see the Dodgers. I want to beat them. But I could see another early playoff exit.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think a lot also depends on the moves they make during the course of the season. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. It's good to see you, and hopefully we'll see you in the Bronx a lot during the course of the season.
Definitely, for sure.
Joe Randazzo covers the Yankees for SI.com. When we come back here on the program, we're going to talk a little hockey when we are joined by Casey O'Brien from the New York Sirens, and she's going to join us when we come back right after this. Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sportsbash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,600 families, raising over $44 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $7,100 each. And your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 84 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash. I'm Peter Schwartz. 516-465-3990 is the number to call. We thank Joe Randazzo from SI.com for joining us in the last segment and talking a little Yankee baseball with us. In a few moments, we're going to be joined by New York Sirens forward Casey O'Brien. Casey and the Sirens will play Seattle in the first ever PWHL game that'll be played at Madison Square Garden on April the 4th, and Casey will be joining us after practice in just a few moments. It's time for What's Hot at ticketbash.com. Get the best seats at the best prices with no service fees at ticketbash.com. And it's kind of a dark few nights for the local sports scene. The NBA is into the All-Star break, so the Knicks are away, but you could get tickets on ticketbash.com for the NBA All-Star game this Sunday in Inglewood, California. Monster Jam is coming to UBS Arena February 14th through 16th. Brandi Carlile will be at the Garden this Friday, February 13th, and Saturday, February 14th. It is now time to welcome in our next guest here on the show. She was a star at the University of Wisconsin and the third overall pick by the New York Sirens in this past draft, in the 2025 PWHL draft, and terrific player for the Sirens. And we welcome to the show forward Casey O'Brien. Casey, it's Peter. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for joining us here on the show. Well, we'll talk about the season in general in just a minute, but there's a lot of excitement around the Sirens. As I mentioned before, your team will take on Seattle at Madison Square Garden on April 4th, and it's the first time ever that there'll be a women's hockey game at Madison Square Garden. And from what I can see, what I've heard, there's not a lot of tickets left. You're going to be playing in front of a sellout crowd that night at Madison Square Garden. And for you who grew up in Soho before moving to Massachusetts, that's got to be a huge thrill for you.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, the coolest game I've ever played, probably that we've all ever played. Madison Square Garden's just probably the most iconic rink in the world, and it's like so cool to hear other teams that play there, artists that perform there. Everybody kind of says the energy in the building is just different, and so to be the first game, the first women's game to be played there is just so special to all of us.
Do you think for yourself, not just because you grew up, you were born in New York and had a little experience, you played some hockey at Chelsea Piers, but just for you as an athlete, and you think about the history of Madison Square Garden, do you think you'll find yourself when that morning at the skate or practicing there, or even when you're on the bench? Do you think you'll have that oh wow moment where you're sitting there and you're looking up at the historic ceiling and the banners and everything? Do you think that'll hit you at any point, or do you think you'll just be laser focused on the game?
I think it's definitely going to hit me. I hope it doesn't last too long. There's a game to focus on. But I think it's going to hit me. I think it's going to hit all of us because, again, like this is the one game that we've had marked on our calendar since they've told us about it. And so it's just like the anticipation's just building. We're so ready for it.
Absolutely. How about this season for you and the Sirens, your rookie year in the PWHL, 4 goals, 7 assists, and 11 points? How have you been able to make the transition from college to pro hockey?
Yeah, it's definitely a very different game, especially with the physicality added to it. And I think New York has been in a very unique situation where, we had so many people picked in the draft. We had trades. So we're a very new team this year. And I think with that comes a lot of adjustments. We're all trying to figure out how to play with each other, figure out line combinations, find chemistry with each other. And so I think that's almost helped me make the transition because most of the team is new and we're trying to, build our identity, build our culture together. And so that's helped a lot. We have a great group of veterans who have helped all of us rookies make the transition. But I think we've done a really good job and now we're finding our footing and it's showing in the standings.
Yeah, I would almost think that the beginning part of the season had to be an extension of training camp, and now as the Olympics are going on, you're getting some extra practice time. I would imagine this is really good for the players who are still around while the Olympics are going on. It's a chance for everybody to get to know each other.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of time to bond off the ice. There's a lot of time to kind of evaluate what we need to work on, what we can do better. And so our practices, we spend a lot of times focusing on certain skills, certain themes that we've seen throughout our past games so we can be better for the future.
How about the playing for the Sirens organization and the culture that they're trying to build? You play your home games at the Rock, the Prudential Center, where the Devils play their home games. What's it been like, kind of indoctrinating yourself into the organization and feeling what the culture is like there?
Yeah, it's still kind of surreal. If you had told me, even 5 years ago, that I was going to be a professional hockey player playing in New York, representing New York City, New Jersey, the whole area, I probably wouldn't believe you. And so it's a really special thing. I think New York is just an insane market to begin with. There's so many legends who have been through here. It's one of the best cities in the world. And so to be part of this, to be a part of the culture and to help build it, grow it, because at the end of the day, our biggest goal is just to continue growing the market, to continue to grow the game. To be a part of it is the most special thing.
We're talking to Casey O'Brien, forward for the New York Sirens of the Professional Women's Hockey League. Casey and the Sirens will play the first ever women's hockey game at Madison Square Garden against Seattle on April 4th. And if you don't have your tickets yet for that game, get them, because if you go on Ticketmaster.com, where you buy the tickets on the regular market, they always talk about the blue dots signifying the tickets that are unsold. And Casey, I don't know if you've gone on recently, there's not a lot of blue dots available.
Yeah, my dad was trying to buy a few extra tickets and he was kind of freaking out because there weren't a lot available. So yeah, I'm not sure if there's any left now.
Well, you can send them to ticketbash.com because they sponsor the show here, and that's a secondary ticket outlet. So if you can't get your tickets that you want on Ticketmaster, you get them on ticketbash.com. You finished your collegiate career as Wisconsin's all-time leading scorer, 274 points. Can you kind of put into words your career at Wisconsin, what that program meant to you as your hockey career blossomed?
Yeah, Wisconsin meant everything to me. When I was looking at colleges to go to, I kind of looked at all the legends who had been through there, all the Olympians, all the best players in college hockey who have gone through that program. And I saw how they developed, kind of heard their stories there. And I wanted to be just like them. And so going there, I was so fortunate to be on the teams that I were. Each of the 5 teams I was on was unique, but they were also stacked. So every single day I was playing against the best players in the world. And so I think when you're, iron sharpens iron, we're words are just how good each person was on that team and how like we all made each other better. So it's so special. I'm so grateful for my 5 years, for my teammates, coaches, the whole staff there. I have nothing but great things to say about my 5 years there.
How about the remainder of the season here with the Sirens? Obviously, a tough start as you mentioned before, but what's your outlook on the rest of the season and making the playoffs and competing for a championship?
Yeah, I think we're sitting in 4th right now, so it's in a playoff spot. But I think the best thing about the Sirens is I don't think that we've played our best hockey yet. Each game we're getting a little bit better. We've seen glimpses of it, but I don't think, we've had a full Sirens hockey game where we're firing on all cylinders and at our best. And I think that should be kind of scary for other teams because once we are, I think we're going to be a really hard team to beat.
And you have a little experience now for this game at Madison Square Garden playing in front of a big crowd because one of the things the league has done, which I think is terrific, they've brought some games to non-PWHL markets, and you played a game in Washington not long ago that set a record for the biggest crowd for a women's hockey game in the United States when you played in Washington, D.C. So how do you take that experience and bottle it up and bring it with you to Madison Square Garden on April 4th?
Yeah, that was obviously the biggest crowd I've ever played in front of. And it was so cool. And I think learning, just to feed off the crowd's energy. And also if things aren't going well to, not let that get in your head at all too. I think that was a great first experience for all of us to feel what, a building of that size feels like when it's sold out and when the building's rocking. And so we're just going to take bits and pieces and, try to lock in for our game in MSG.
To that point, Casey, for you as a female athlete, when you see the explosion of women's sports over the years, you see how big the WNBA has gotten here in the United States, and and how big women's soccer has become too, and now women's hockey is really starting to become a really popular thing. It's taking off at all different levels of girls hockey, from girls playing at a very young age and now having players like yourself to look up to and a professional league to get to. What is it? How does it make you feel to see this explosion of women's sports over the last 5 or 10 years?
I think that's the best part of all of this. Obviously, the wins are nice, championships are great, but to know that women's hockey is growing and that the girls who, are so young can now look up to us and look up to a league that they, can play in when they're older, because we didn't have that. We had the Olympics to dream about, but there wasn't we never thought we'd have a hockey as a job and it would be sustainable for us. And so to look back, know that these younger girls now can dream about playing in the PWHL is the best part. And I think especially in New York, hockey isn't the biggest market here, and so we have an extra responsibility to make sure that grows, because growing up in Soho especially, it was Chelsea Piers. There were, there's a few clubs there that are awesome, like the Cyclones, but we want to keep growing that and make it more accessible for other girls. That's our biggest goal with this entire league, I think.
Casey, you mentioned the Olympics before, and I have to bring this up because there's this big rivalry, obviously, between the United States and Canada, and the USA and Canadian men are expected to play for the gold medal, but it's also expected that the USA and Canadian women will play for the gold medal. But in the preliminary round the other day, I could not believe the beating that the United States put on Canada the other day. Were you shocked by that? And does it really now put the United States in the driver's seat to be the favorite to win the gold medal?
Yeah, I think it definitely does, especially after the rivalry series games leading up. I think USA's youth is really taking over. There's a lot of special players there, but at the end of the day, it is a gold medal game, and it's always a dogfight. So I don't think it's going to be another 5-0 game. I think it's probably going to be a bloodbath, just knowing how bad both sides want it. I think there's a ton of respect. They took different approaches to get here, so we'll see who wins out in the end.
Casey, thank you so much for spending some time with me here on the show. Good luck to you and your teammates the rest of the season, and it's got to be really exciting to get ready to play in that game at Madison Square Garden on April 4th against Seattle. Best of luck, and hopefully we'll have you on the show again somewhere down the road.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Awesome. New York Sirens forward Casey O'Brien joining us here on the show, and that's going to be an outstanding evening of hockey at Madison Square Garden when the Sirens take on Seattle. And again, there's not a lot of tickets left, and they're in the ones that are left are in the upper reaches of the Garden. So if you want great seats for that game, you're going to want to go to ticketbash.com, our great sponsor here on the show, and get your great seats. But there's not a lot of blue dots left on the Ticketmaster seating chart for that game. So we wish Casey and the Sirens the best of luck. It's time for the Coach's Collectibles item of the week, and it's this Nolan McLean autographed Mets jersey. Coach's Collectibles, your number one source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. Check them out online at www.coachescollectiblesny.com and use code SPORTSBASH for free shipping on your orders. We'll tell you about some upcoming programs next week here on Sports Bash. We're still putting both shows together for the most part, but we do have one guest booked for Tuesday. We'll be joined by author Larry Schechter. He has this book out that you're seeing the cover of right now, The History of Fantasy Sports, as many of you get ready for your fantasy baseball drafts. We'll talk more about the Mets and the Yankees on the show. Of course, the Knicks will be coming back, and the Nets as well after the All-Star break. St. John's is tuning up for the Big East. We hope to have a St. John's guest on next week. We're working on that for next week. But still a lot of stuff to talk about as we are into the post-Super Bowl era of the sports calendar, so to speak. So baseball spring training heating up and winding down hockey and baseball, well, hockey and basketball. And obviously, we're following what's going on at the Winter Olympics. And that will do it for this edition of Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. Thanks to my guests, Joe Randazzo and Casey O'Brien. Thanks to our social media coordinator, Leanne Burgess. And thanks to Tony Walker and everyone here at Governors. Sports Bash is sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, by Coach's Collectibles, and by the Marty Lyons Foundation. For our entire crew, I'm Peter Schwartz, saying thank you for watching and listening to Sports Bash. We are back on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Have a great day and a great weekend, everybody.